What is up, guys? You ever had an embarrassing moment? Ever had a little moment where you were startled? You didn't know what was going to happen next. You thought the world was over. Your world was ending in that second. That's what today is all about. Embarrassing moments. Let's hit the music and get straight into it.
Can't go on, I can't go on
I think
like
we're too low,
this. Just dwelling on it.
like this, like
Used to
the
be,
camera, this, all this
I can
stuff.
fix these holes and patch these walls, but there's no
Let's get straight into the episode, guys.
What you know about that Michael Jackson, baby? Movie's coming out Friday. Who's amped about it? I'm amped about it. Michael Jackson. Am I going to see it Friday? I don't know. A part of me doesn't know. I loved Michael Jackson growing up. Big fan of Michael Jackson. I got that Michael Jackson bobblehead right here. Michael Jackson bobblehead, got that from the thrift back in like 2014, 2015 area. But here's a big boy right here, the mommy. The real ones know about this one. I never even took the price tag off of this bad boy. Happy Halloween, $12.97. This was $12.97, and when I press it, it sings Thriller. You got that for $12.97 back then. This was like in 2011, 2012, maybe 2012. I want to give a shout out to my boy DeMarco. He's out there doing good things. I'm sure. I haven't talked to him since second grade, but I'm sure he's doing some great things. He got me into Michael Jackson. He came to our school. He had dance moves like we never seen before. Our school, we didn't have a lot of people out there dancing and all that, doing all that stuff when we were in second grade. That was new. That was new to us. This boy DeMarco came in. He had moves. It was like magic. He would dance to Michael Jackson all the time, and it was like, whoa. You thought the aliens came down for a moment. You thought they sent DeMarco. You thought he was an alien dancing around, getting wild. And then a talent show came, and he danced to Billie Jean, and it was remarkable, extravagant. It was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. All the girls were faunting over him. All the guys were jealous. They were just in the corner, like, I wish I was DeMarco. When it came to everyone having like we would do like quick little writing during class, and then you get with a partner, and y'all like would read each other's writing and grade it. And everyone wanted to be partners with DeMarco all the time, guys and girls. I fell in there as well. I wanted to be partners with him. So one time I had bad writing, but one time I took extra long during the writing part to make it real small and neat, as neat as possible. And I walked up to DeMarco and I was like, "Hey, bro, look at this. Let's be partners." And he picked me. And for that moment, I felt like I made it, because DeMarco was like a celebrity for us. He was like a celebrity. We never seen anything like that before. Someone come in and just steal the whole show. So DeMarco, shout out to you, man. I think I actually still following you on Insta. So shout out to DeMarco, wherever he's at, doing great things out there. Michael Jackson. But after that, I loved Michael Jackson because DeMarco put that in me. He made me believe. So I started loving Michael Jackson. I wanted to be like Michael Jackson. I wanted to dance like Michael Jackson. But I just wasn't Michael Jackson. I would go to parties, I go to quinces and stuff, and they put on Billie Jean or Rock With You, which I would play right now, but Michael Jackson is notoriously like the worst thing to get copyrighted by. It's like impossible to get it cleared. I think I just saw a raccoon in my backyard. But anyways, before I got distracted, sorry. Michael Jackson, they copyright you good, and I've been copyrighted quite a bit early on because I would play music. You know what? Never mind. I was about to get wild. I was about to get wild and play it and accept the copyright, but I don't think we will. I don't think we will this time, guys. I'm sorry to the listeners. There will not be any Michael Jackson songs played, but just imagine it. If you're listening, just play it in the background while I'm talking, because that's what I would be doing right now. You know? Gosh, Michael Jackson, best believe it, baby. I would go to quinces and start throwing my feet around, getting wild, but I wasn't really dancing. I was just like kicking my feet back and forth, and everyone would be like, "Hey, look at him! Look at John go! AJDA!" And I would just be swinging my feet back and forth. I remember one time we got in four corners, those me and these other guys, and we were just like dancing the whole time. Every single song we were on that dance floor. I was probably like 10 years old. Actually, I was probably like 8 years old. Every song we were on the dance floor, throwing our feet around, getting wild. And we did the four corners thing where everyone's dancing in a circle and we're just in the corners dancing. And this girl came up to me. She was like, "Hey, you want to dance?" And I said, "No," because I'm committed to the bit of being Michael Jackson. You get back and you dance in a circle because I'm Michael Jackson right now. And Michael Jackson don't dance with nobody. That was my mentality. That's how I was moving when I was in third grade. That's what was going on in my brain. If you're gonna be Michael Jackson, you be Michael Jackson. The Michael Jackson experience. What you know about that? I got it on the Wii. Man, I love Michael Jackson. And you forget how much you love things sometimes because you don't think about it for a while, but then you go back to it and you're like, dang, that I loved it. Gosh, I loved Michael Jackson. I was gonna wear that fedora today. Y'all got lucky. I was gonna wear it, but I don't know where it's at. It's really small. But anyways, let's talk about the topic today, embarrassment. I just shared a little bit of embarrassment with y'all. Me being Michael Jackson, a little bit of embarrassment. Another thing about me being Michael Jackson, one time I came to school. We had a celebrity day. We would always have once a year come dressed as your favorite celebrity. And I came dressed as Michael Jackson. But I didn't have anything to dress like Michael Jackson. I didn't have the glove. I didn't have any of the jackets or anything. So I just wore a random jacket with my fedora and a red shirt. Out of everything, I wore a red shirt. I wanted to kind of be like the Thriller a little bit, beat it, that kind of vibe. And I walked in and everyone was like, "Hey, oh my gosh, you're Bruno Mars, Bruno Mars." Bruno Mars. This is when Bruno Mars first dropped music. Uh, what was his song? Sex Takes Me to Paradise? Locked Out of Heaven. Locked Out of Heaven. That was the name of the song. Sorry. Sorry for the kids listening. But Locked Out of Heaven was a song. It just came out. Fresh out the box. The pizza was still hot. And I was like, "Who's this Bruno Mars guy? Who's this Bruno Mars guy? I'm Michael Jackson." And everyone was like, "No, you're Bruno Mars. You're not Michael Jackson." And I got all sad. I started crying. My heart was shattered to a million pieces because I wasn't Michael Jackson. And I wanted to be Michael Jackson. And I remember there was one of the admin was talking about how there's going to be a really, really big talent show, but it was going to be a San Antonio talent show. And it was going to be called the Big Event Talent Show 2013. And I was like, this is it. I'm going to go dress as Michael Jackson and I'm going to rock everybody. I'm going to win this thing. I would talk to her about it, the applications, but I shied away at the end and I never signed up. I shied away. When it mattered most, when it was my opportunity to be Michael Jackson, I shied away. Because I was a coward. Anyways, let's get into it a little bit. I talked to some people. I asked y'all for some of y'all's embarrassing stories. Let's hit it. Let's get into it. And then I'll share one of mine, of course. When I was 10, I went to the bathroom at school and it was locked. I didn't think anyone was in there and I crawled under the stall. And some guy was under there. And he said, "What the F?" Beep. Let's put a beep over that. Oh! Sorry, I dropped the alien head on the floor. It's still here. You know what? You know what, people? Huh? Check this out for the viewers. Huh? How's that for a conspiracy theory? Sorry. That was unnecessary, but it came and it happened. Anyways. Anywho. Is it anywho? Yeah, it is anywho. So you had to use the restroom. You had to use the restroom. You went under the stall and someone saw you. You went peekabooing a little bit. You had to look under and see what was going on, where the action was at. Usually, that's a little intense, man. That's a little intense. I haven't done that. Usually, if I'm like trying to check, kind of, because sometimes you don't know. No one says anything. It's kind of weird to knock. It's like kind of awkward. Am I going to knock on the stall? So what you do sometimes is you like kind of step back and you kind of like, you slowly look under the stall just to see if you see a foot. Like as soon as you see a foot, abort the mission, man. But you went all in. You went all in. You start crawling under there, man. But it's 10. You're 10, right? Who cares? You're 10 years old. Let's move on. Let's move on from that kind of stuff, you know? We're 10 years old. What are you? I don't know how you, what are you, like 20-ish now? Let's move on from that. Let's not be embarrassed from that. It's in the past, right? It's in the past. Let's get to the next one. At my waiter job, I was carrying some soup. Soup. Let's keep that in mind. Soup. Right before I got to the table, I tripped over my foot and dropped it all and froze for nearly a minute. Dropping some soup, huh? You're having a soupy day, they can say. Listen here. It happens. In your line of work, it happens. I try to ask waiters sometimes or waitresses, I don't have a little bit of hiccups come out of nowhere. How often does it happen that you drop some soup, drop some food, you know? You're having a good day and all of a sudden you just drop it all on yourself. I wish you would have clarified. Did you drop it on them or did you drop it on yourself? That's the question, right? That's what the question is right there. Because that's the real problem. If you drop it on yourself, hey, that is what it is. You drop it on someone else. That's where the problem is. Let me tell you something. When I was at Chick-fil-A last year, I had a moment in time. It was when I first started at Chick-fil-A. I was, you know, when you first start things, you don't know how lenient they are. You're like, oh, if I mess up one time, I'm going to get fired. And I thought that was my mentality going into Chick-fil-A. This one, of course, this was a really big Chick-fil-A. This was the one on Leon Springs, big time, baby. Bernie, Texas. That's where everyone's at. So we were getting ready, right? We were getting ready to party. It was about to be a lunch rush. And then they're like, hey, John, go get some lemonade from the fridge. In the fridge, we had lemonade, diet lemonade. We had all that stuff. And you had to go up and put it back into the front containers to fill it up. Gets a little empty, you know? I went back there. I think it was diet lemonade. And I went up back there, went into the fridge by myself, you know? Because I do it by myself with these arms, these cannons I got here. Anyways, sorry. I went up into the fridge, started unhooking it, tried to grab the big container. Keep in mind here, for y'all that don't know, there are hooks on these. Like there's like little hooks, so you could stack them and that they don't fall because they have little holes, and then the hook from the one below hooks onto the one on top, so that they don't like fall over. Well, I was trying to grab one below. No, I was trying to grab one on top when it was hooked to the one below. And I grabbed the diet on top and I started pulling it, and the one below falls all on me. I'm covered in diet lemonade. Diet lemonade all over the floor. It got ugly. And I was like, dang it. And a big thing about myself is that I always try to solve the situation before telling anyone, so the embarrassment of me doing it. Especially back then, that was a big issue with me, is that, and I feel like that's something some of us may be doing. I don't know for sure if y'all are doing it, but I feel like maybe some of y'all can relate to that. Because sometimes when you have an embarrassing thing happen and it's like a mistake, you try to solve it real quick without someone seeing it instead of asking for help so that you could solve it the right way. I got a little squeegee and I started squeegeeing everything up, right? I started squeegeeing everything up. But I was still covered and I took forever. And one of the person that sent me to go get the diet lemonade came in and was like, "Did you spill it on yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." Caught me red-handed, I did. And she giggled. We got back to work. And it was never talked about. It was joked about later on, but it was never talked about. And it shows you, you know, everyone's trying to get by. You think something's so embarrassing for you, but everyone's trying to get by. Let me share a really embarrassing moment. My most embarrassing moment. One of my most. I don't know if it's the most, but it's definitely up there. It's a funny story now because no one ever found out. When I was I think I've shared this story before when the podcast first came out. This was like 2021. I shared this story for the real ones out there, the OGs. The OGs out there. This one's for a little memory for y'all. It was 2016. Yeah, it was 2016. I had torn my meniscus. I was on the third floor at Whittier Middle School in my STEM class, science, technology. Is it engineering and mathematics? I think it is engineering and mathematics. But I was in that class and we had slips for the restroom. I don't know if y'all have these. There are slips, and you would get it signed by your teacher, and it had how many times you've gone. So they would sign it off. There's only a certain amount of times you can use the restroom for the class. I don't know if it was for each class or it was just in general. Like you could only use the restroom so many times. Wait, you would get your slip, you would fill it out. But what a lot of people lost their slips. So they would be like, "Hey, can I borrow your slip?" And then they would get it signed by the teacher, and you would lose like one spot to use the restroom. But they got to go use the restroom. There might have been a good amount, like 15 times. This is like in 3 weeks. Yeah, for 3 weeks you could use the restroom like 15 or 20 times, I think. I think it was 3 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. But someone had used mine at one point and they lost it. So I didn't have it anymore. And this teacher had a rule that if you didn't have the slip, you got to use the restroom 3 times. And on the third time, I just flipped y'all off. On the third time, you got detention. So I was on my second time. I already used the second one. Next one was attention. I didn't have my slip. I lost it. I needed to use the restroom bad, real bad. And I was walking around asking people for the slips. You know how it works. You give someone their slip, you give someone your slip, and no one wants to give yours. No one wants to, I'm sorry. No one wants to give you their slip. So no one was letting it up. They're like, "Hey, I don't have it. Dang, I don't know where it's at. Sorry, man." And I needed to use the restroom so bad. I was walking around back and forth, chatting to people I never talked to before because I needed to use the restroom. I need to use it bad. And you know what? I had enough. I told the teacher, "Hey, give me detention. We out of here. We rolling deep." And he was like, "All right, man. Well, here's your restroom pass. You got detention." And I was like, "All right, sir. All right, sir." And the biggest thing about that is I never had detention before. I was supposed to have detention. Never had it before. So I was like, "Dang, I finally got detention." Started walking down the hall. I remember torn meniscus. I can't walk that fast. We limping. We limping down the hall. And I feel it. I feel it in my bones. It's coming out. Feels like someone just gave me a shot and you could feel the adrenaline going through your whole body. That's how it felt. I felt it all coming through me. That piss was coming. As soon as I walked into the restroom, I started pissing. I started pissing all over myself. And I looked to the side in the restroom and I see an eighth grader was there. And he was like, "What the?" Just staring at me while I was pissing myself. I was like, "Oh, I abort the mission." I started leaving the restroom. I walk out of that restroom. I started walking. I tried to go down the stairs to the nurse so I could hide because I already started pissing myself a little bit. Not that much, just a little bit. And while I started going down the stairs, I trip and I start falling down the stairs, tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. And while I'm tumbling, I'm pissing full gear. It's fully pissing over myself. So imagine that torn meniscus, tumbling down the stairs, peeing myself. And I get to like almost the bottom of the staircase and I'm just there like, oh, just feeling so cold. Felt so cold. And I just stood up. The thing about that, I was right in front of the school. That staircase leads you right to in front of the school. So the office was right there, right in front of me. I walk into the office covered in piss. I'm like, "Oh, I need help." They tell me, "Oh," they all look at me like, "Oh, who's this monster? Who's this monstrosity that walked in?" And they point to the nurse's office, which was right across the hall. Like, "Hey, go over there, get on my face," kind of thing. Like, "Oh, you're gonna mess up the carpet. Someone just cleaned the carpet. You're gonna mess it up." I get up and I start walking. I start limping a little bit towards the nurse as I walk in there, and she looks at me, and there's like someone else in there. They look at me, they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "I peed myself, nurse." She's like, "It's okay, it's okay. Go over there to the restroom." Because there's a restroom inside of the nurse's office, and I guess I sit in there, ashamed, ashamed of myself. And I remember just sitting there. I was like, "This is it." I felt like I was dying. I was about to take my last breath and give out. That's how I felt. It was sad. It was a sad moment for your boy. But no one ever found out. They had all my friends. Shout out Jer. Shout out my boy, Jer. They had him go bring me my backpack, and I don't think he knew why. You know what? Maybe everyone knew why. Maybe the whole class knew, but I'm sure they didn't. I think the story was just that I fell and I hurt my leg, so I went home. But they brought it. He brought my backpack in. He didn't see me. Brought it in. My parents bring me extra clothes, and he was like, "You know what? Let's take him home." I was like, "I want to go home. I don't want to. I don't want to finish the story today. I don't want to finish this story. I don't want to go to band because I had band next, and then I was gonna go home. And I was like, I'm not going to band today after what I just pulled. No, I have piss. I feel dried. I feel cold. I feel alone. In that moment, I felt alone. When I fell down that hall, covered in piss, I felt alone. Just let that sit for a little bit. I went home and I sat there in shame. An 11-year-old pissing himself. You don't get much lower than that. But it was a hidden secret. No one knew about it. I didn't tell anybody till I was in high school. And I started sharing the story, and now I'm sharing it to y'all. So I want y'all to know that embarrassing things happen to all of us. They happen to all of us. We all have those moments in time. Nothing different. We all think that our embarrassing moment is something that no one's ever experienced, that everyone's gonna make fun of us. They may joke about it, but you know what? We all joke about it. We all joke about everyone's moments because they're all relatable. That's why we joke about it, because they're really relatable to us. And I want you to believe, baby, believe that bad boy. Sorry. But anyways, that's it, guys. That is it. I'm calling it right here. We got the zombie hand right here, and I'm calling it. It's been John Guerra. This has been the GuerrainDawn Show. Don't be embarrassed. Explore being embarrassed. Explore that behavior. Explore that feeling. Because you got to love that feeling of being embarrassed. Y'all, let's hit the music and let's get out of here.
Burning memories till